Good morning and welcome to another Tuesday Tour. It's John Sautter and Michael Fairchild behind the camera from your Purdue Alumni Association, and we think you're really going to enjoy our Tuesday Tour this morning. We're going to rather quickly go through quite a few of the Purdue traditions and history as we kind of update you on kind of things that are going on, but remind you of your time on campus, and hopefully we're going to hit some of your favorite spots. So we're going to get going. Okay, here we go. This is going to be a fun section to do. We're on Memorial Mall and we're starting with the pillars. You see 97 on the pillar. That's actually 1897. These pillars were actually down right at the end of the drive, right down here on State Street. That's really where the trolley car used to stop and drop off the students as they walked to campus. And the class of 1897 decided to put some pillars there, and they were there. You know, Purdue saves just about everything, and so they put those away for a while, and when they redid all this area around here, they pulled them out, and so the pillars of 1897 are actually at the entrance to Hello Walk. Hello Walk, you can see down here. Smile and say hello to everyone you meet. Hello Walk was in 1893, actually even a little bit before the pillars came in, but it's been here ever since. Different locations, but it's currently here. It's been updated several times. I think 1998 was the latest update of that. It actually used to have the names of the outstanding senior man and senior woman that is awarded each year along the edge. Those are now on the awards obelisk on the Purdue Mall. But it's still Hello Walk. We encourage students to say hello to each other. Unfortunately, these days, many are on their devices and it just doesn't happen. And these days with the shutdown, it's obviously not happening at all. But again, we're glad to bring you those, and now we're going to hustle just a little bit down the way, and we're going to go to see old John Purdue. So here we go. Okay, we have arrived at the statue of old John Purdue himself, about a third larger than life. This sculpture was put in just a few years ago, I think around 2012 or so, but it captures our founder and benefactor. This site here has really become a perfect site for students after commencement in their cap and gowns to kind of come here and put their whole arm around old John Purdue and be thankful for all he did. Naming Purdue University, giving the land and some money, he really made it happen, and quite a contributor to the community also. So now let's have a look at John Purdue's grave, and we'll be going down this way and around. One of his requests when he gave the money and the land was to be buried on campus across from University Hall, which was one of the first major buildings being built. And so he is. And so September of 1896, John passed away, buried right here. He wanted a plain gravestone, he said. And you can't get much more plain than this. And so this is John Purdue's grave site, very peaceful. A lot of students stop here to have a talk with old John and get re-inspired. It's a nice spot to have on campus. We'll now see that building that he wanted to be buried across from, and that's University Hall. Here we are in front of University Hall, opened in 1877. Just a quick reminder, 1877, the frontier was still existing. The country was still coming together. Higher education was kind of a tough sell. 1876 was Custer's last stand, after all. So those were challenging times. That's when the hall was built, and it's been here ever since. It's housed university presidents. It's been the library. It's been the registrar's office. There was actually no second floor for a while, so they could have chapel, and this is where required chapel was held. 5 times a week with an organist. The president would speak, you know, all in University Hall. Still has classes on first and second floor. I bet some of you had classes there. Now on the top floor, it's offices. So now we're going to go down this way to another spot we think you'll be familiar with. Here we are outside of Stone Hall on campus, and we want to highlight this tradition, the old pump. This is a replica of the old pump maintained by the Reamer Club, but the history of this is that there was a pump, one of those old pumps like still in Grandma's farm, that used to sit outside of boarding hall, the very first boarding hall, very first residence hall on campus. As classes began in 1874, there was a pump. And the students around at that time would meet at the pump late at night, just for a drink of water, mind you, but they would meet there. The building eventually was torn down in 1927, but by then President Eliot, our 6th president, was in office, and he thought it was a symbol of romance. And so he decided that a replica of the pump would always be in existence as a symbol of romance and a remembrance of those times back then. And so the pump still sits here. Memorial Mall is the free speech area on campus. So this is the area on campus where anybody can basically come in and talk about most anything they want. A lot of student organizations set up tents. There's a lot of activity here during the school year, as we now hear the bell tower in the background. Good timing. But Memorial Mall, some of you may remember, one of our most frequently occurring instances was Brother Max. Brother Max the evangelist was here quite a bit, trying to save those students as they went to class each day. But it's a free speech area, great spot I have right in the middle of campus. And so that kind of concludes this segment. Now on to the next one. Now we're standing in front of the unfinished P. It's the Block P, unfinished, and it was put here around 2008, I believe it was dedicated. And the concept is it's a symbol that your Purdue education is never ever really finished. And so even though you graduate from Purdue, there's additional degrees, there's additional professional development, there are additional things you can do to add on to that Purdue education. And this is a reminder of that, a great spot again for photos. This has also then become the site for a ceremony called Golden Taps. Golden Taps is a ceremony to honor those Purdue students who unfortunately pass on before they're able to finish their degree. And with 40,000 students traveling and doing any number of things, this is going to happen. And so there is a ceremony held each semester. They have it here. They pull in the Boilermaker Special, they ring the bell, they play taps. It provides some closure for the parents and for the students and for the roommates and those who knew the students. That occurs here. There's a reception afterwards, and then the parents get a replica of the unfinished P to take with them. So a very nice thing that Purdue does, very thoughtful for those students who are very unfortunate to not be with us. So now we're going to move on, and here we go, a little more traveling music. Michael. Okay, we have arrived in front of the Lion water fountain. This was put here by the class of 1903 as a water fountain. It didn't take many years, it's over 100 years old, so it didn't take many years for it to not function anymore. But right after the year 2000 or so, they got it working again as a water fountain. And among many myths and traditions with the fountain, one is if you drink from the water fountain just before an exam, it'll give you good luck on that exam. So you see a lot of students drinking here. This is a site where the Reamer Club likes to meet. They like to bring the Boilermaker Special, come in here, sing songs, do some of their favorite cheers all around the Lion Fountain. So right in the middle of campus, it's just a great tradition to have. So now we're going to move on. Okay, we have arrived at another tradition. This is a more recent tradition for Purdue, and it's the crossing of the tracks. It's called the Rush Crossing. This was put in around 2005 or so. Interesting, the tracks are located pretty close to where the original railroad tracks came through to bring coal to the North Power Plant that used to be right here. But the concept is, with the tracks, you cross the tracks to the south as you arrive as a freshman, and when you're a senior, don't you know, and you're going to graduate, that is, and you go back the other way and you cross the tracks. Students can do this in one leap, but I think we're going to try to avoid any kind of an accident and not do that. But crossing the tracks, one of Purdue's newer traditions. Now in our background is the bell tower. Bell tower on campus that is unique in several ways. One is, if you look at the number 4, it's actually 4 lines, 4 Roman numerals, and not IV, as you might actually have in Roman numerals, because it's too close to IU. It's too close to IU. They didn't want any confusion there, so it's 4. It actually plays Hail Purdue at 12:20 each day, at 5 o'clock each day, and at 10 o'clock in the evening. You can hear it coming from here. And the bells in the bell tower are actually the 4 bell towers from Heaviland Hall. And so this was put here around 1998 or so, and it really kind of took the place of this smokestack, which used to be over here. This is where the North Power Plant used to be. It was opened up in 1924, and it first started generating electricity for a lot of the buildings. Whoa! Right on cue. Now it's 1:15. It generated electricity for one of the first buildings, and that was the Union Building, which opened up the very same year. But the North Power Plant used to be here, and the smokestack, that over 200-foot structure, was right here with the building. Unfortunately, it had to be demolished, I think, in 1988, as the bricks were starting to come loose, and as they had more intentions, for this particular site. But the smokestack, as many of you may recall, it was really quite your beacon on weekends when you're kind of making your way back to campus from being in town. That's the spot that could give you your point of reference and bring you back over here. One last thing we want to show you. Okay, now we have arrived right by the bell tower, and I forgot to mention there's a couple of traditions with that. One is, if you walk under the bell tower, you may not graduate from Purdue. But if you kiss your sweetheart under the bell tower, stationary, you're going to marry your sweetheart just a few years after that. So another tradition of Purdue. Behind me is Sininger Park. Sininger Park, many of you may not even be familiar with it. It was just kind of a water hole for many years, given by the class of 1932, but eventually was really quite updated and looked quite nice. Jim Sininger was the superintendent of grounds and really brought trees and shrubs and really the terrific landscaping to campus. And it's notable also, some of you loyal viewers will know, right over here, this is where April Holeiter and Jason got engaged after a significant home football game against Ohio State. You may recall that, noteworthy on campus. And so another tradition. Now we're going to move on. Okay, now we're going to highlight some fountains on campus, actually 3 fountains. And so the first one is Loeb Fountain. Loeb Fountain, and if it was active right now, this would be our fountain run, maybe a first for Tuesday tours, but it's not. So I'm actually standing in Loeb Fountain, and this used to be located in front of Hovde Hall. Some of you may recall it was put there in 1959, and actually the area I'm standing in used to be a basin. You may recall it was kind of sunk, and the story is that a lot of students late at night would put some detergent. They like to practice sprinkle Tide detergent all around in here. And when the administration came to work in the morning, soap suds would just be foaming out of the basin, and it'd have to be cleaned out. That happened more than once. Maybe some of you were involved with that one. Loeb Fountain was donated to the university by Bert and June Loeb of the community. They've dedicated many things. Loeb Playhouse, for one, is another thing that they donated the funds for. Quite supportive of the university as it was really continuing to grow. It was moved here in 1988 as they added a different water sculpture in front of Hovde Hall. And so it's very interactive, and during the school year, it's a great place for the students coming again to run through. A fountain run is one of those things you need to do if you're a student, but a great place to cool off again in between classes. Even over my left shoulder, you might see Beering Hall, and way up in the corner there is the Vision 21 Conference Room, otherwise known as the Jedi Council Room, I'm told by Michael and others. And it's a great spot to have meetings and have a great view of campus. In fact, we've done a Tuesday tour from up there, you may recall. So this is one of the 3 fountains we're going to talk about. On to the next one. We have arrived at fountain number 2. This is the one at John Purdue's gravesite, given to the university by the class of 1894. But again, very peaceful spot on campus, one of the three fountains we want to highlight. I'm sure you've walked past this many times if you've gone to University Hall in your different classes. So very relaxing here. Now it's on to fountain number 3. We are now at our third water fountain on campus, water sculpture on campus. In fact, we're on the Purdue Mall, right in front of Hovde Hall, the bell tower in the background, perfect setting to talk about the Purdue Interactive Water Sculpture. And this is the fountain that replaced Loeb Fountain. When Loeb Fountain moved over, this came in. And again, another interactive water sculpture on campus that you can actually run through. You used to be able to run right through, but now there's kind of a stainless steel cylinder in the middle. But again, another relaxing spot, a fountain run where you go through and get soaked is part of our traditions here. In the evening, it has colored lights on it. It's just really quite pretty. And many of you will probably remember your commencement ceremony. Hopefully you were fortunate enough to be in a processional that would start and come down the walk over and come, and then you would go right around and up the steps of Hovde Hall into the Hall of Music for your commencement ceremony. And so a memorable spot on campus. We hope this brings back great memories for you. We are now in the Purdue Memorial Union on the west side following the protocol of the Protect Purdue plan with the face mask. But we're in the Hall of Flags. The Hall of Flags, they have a flag representing each student's country attending the university. And so there are over 100 different flags that are here that the students can find their home country's flag. Also in this same location is the Book of Great Teachers. We talked about this previously. This is the listing of all those faculty members, the men and women who have just excelled scholastically, and they're selected by students and their peers to be listed. Quite an honor to be there. But what we wanted to really highlight was Abe Lincoln. President Abe Lincoln, 1862, signed the Morrill Act, which established land-grant universities and got Purdue going after that act was signed. And so as you can tell by the nose, you rub it for good luck. It's one of two that you can rub for good luck. Did you know that? We're going to show you the next one. We're going to make our way down the hallway and show you the other good luck charm here in the Purdue Memorial Union. Okay, we have arrived in the Great Hall of the Purdue Memorial Union building, a place familiar to many of you, I'm sure, and the other spot where you can rub a nose for good luck. And that's Edward C. Elliott, our 6th president of Purdue University, sitting right here. And you can see he has dispensed quite a bit of good luck there. He is one of the 11 president busts that we have here. 12th president right now is Mitch Daniels, and so he will soon at some point be here also. So they're all right here. I want to move over and talk about the map in the Great Hall. Perhaps the campus map in this location could be one of the most popular places for meeting people. So I'll meet you at the map in the Union Building, and this is where you kind of end up. So admission tours start here. Lots of things kind of emanate here from the Great Hall of the Purdue Memorial Union building. It's a memorial union, and the plaques around here are for those Purdue graduates who gave their life in the service to their country. And so again, a lot of history in this particular location. The map is up to date as of this coming fall. I mean, they really spend a lot of time and attention and money to kind of keep the map updated. So very unique, but you can really pick out some of your spots on campus. And speaking of other spots on campus, there are some spots that we just can't show you, some things we just can't show you just because they're not available right now. We're in July, in the middle of the shutdown, and some things aren't available. And so we're going to kind of run a series of pictures for you. And first of all, of course, would be Purdue Pete. That we've gone through many Purdue Petes. We've actually done a segment on Purdue Pete, but he would be available to see. The Boilermaker Special, starting in 1940, the Boilermaker Special, which is the official Purdue mascot. It was created, still drives around campus honking its horn, very popular with students. Then we have the Golden Girl, Purdue's Golden Girl, from the band First one appeared in 1954. We had a golden girl because we had a golden boy. That was Lenny Dawson, the quarterback. But our first golden girls was Juanita Carpenter, started by Al Wright way back then. We also have a picture of the Victory Bell. The Victory Bell even goes back further, around the 1870s or so, right after Purdue started playing football. They acquired the Victory Bell. It has a storied history of being hid and actually being hid underground for its own protection, that sort of thing. But it has survived to this day. It's on a nice carriage, and it's managed by the Gimlet Club. And they ring the bell at football games. My son used to help ring that bell for all Purdue victories in the stadium. And then lastly, I want to mention right in this same spot is the PMU Christmas tree. Is normally in this location. And again, another favorite spot for many of you, things that you've seen. And so there's some pictures, a quick review of quite a few of our traditions on campus. And so with that, we want to wish all the folks watching our Tuesday tour the best. Thank you for watching this particular show. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for your loyalty. Come back to campus and see all these things. I will give you a personal tour if you want to come back and look around. And so until then, hail Purdue.